Ingram, and this is our New Beginnings podcast. And today with me, I have a wonderful guest, Clay Hicks, the founder of H7 Networking. Hello, Clay.
Hey, David. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, Clay, it's an absolute honor and privilege to have you on. I'm glad that you're here.
Appreciate that.
You and I, this interview is a little different because you and I have a bit of a closer relationship where we work together on a regular basis, and you've become a mentor and a friend of mine. And every other Monday we spend these talks, so it's kind of cool to let the rest of the world in on it, I think.
I do too, man. I do too.
So, Clay, the podcast is always the same. We go basically three questions. There's three things that we cover. It's how did you come to be doing what you're doing now? Kind of like, and then more like what's up, what are we doing right now, and then where's this going? And so the networking world, is has changed quite a bit. Let's say in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And so I want to get into it. What was it? Take me back to the beginnings of H7. How did you get started?
It obviously was kind of I would say it like this, kind of a ramp up story. Things were happening to me, and that was, I needed to respond. So it's just kind of a generic way of saying that it was rough back then.
Back then, yeah.
So, like, think Wild West.
Uh,
I was a single father. I had full custody of my two biological children at that
um,
time, and was raising them full time, 100%.
mm,
And so there was a lot of things going on. So, uh, why I started is because I felt like I was called to do it. That is the answer. Okay.
mhm.
I felt called to do it. And so, leading up to being called to do it, I was definitely more like a lone wolf. I was out there hustling, doing what I needed to do to take care of my responsibilities. Uh, I had my hands on a lot of different things, just trying to find my way. And we also had so I had some turmoil. Meaning that I really wanted to work with others, and I had this desire to collaborate. And in my by my own self admission, I I wasn't very good about that until I was called up. And so what led to that call up was, I lost my mother. I had a situation with my children, my father, trying to just move as a 28, 29-year-old single father, just trying to
Yeah.
get his stuff together. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I had already been one. And so I had went to this, I had belonged to this networking group in '07, and I was very successful in it, but it closed.
Okay.
Okay. Then I moved over and visited a couple other networking groups, and I didn't feel comfortable with them either. Those to me at the time. I just I wasn't in a great place. I didn't feel good about myself. I was just trying to make it or whatever. And I
You
ended up
just you weren't happy with a lot of things.
it was just tough. It was
Yeah.
just tough. Like, so I had been pursued by some financial advisor companies. I had been through some interviews. I had been offered jobs to be a financial advisor at the time.
Um,
Uh, I went to this one networking group like in February of '08, and I got really
okay.
frustrated. So then I put together, assembled, well, somehow I was able to assemble five people to help me start up H7 as we know it today.
Okay. So, and that was an '08.
That was in '08. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And none of them are members now, but that was 17 years ago. It was a long time
That
ago.
was that was a minute ago. 17 years.
It
That was a minute ago.
was. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's definitely H7 is definitely not 5 members anymore. That's
That is true. Yeah.
so it definitely scaled a lot. I know that you have talked about you have a connect serve ask. That's I would say maybe like the backbone of H7 in a lot of ways. How one-to-ones happen,
Yeah.
and those were a trial by fire. How many have of those have you had? How many have you? Because I know you keep a record of that. How many have you done?
So I have to get into some details, but I'm over 8,600. So I
Eight
got
thousand six hundred.
8,600 times.
So 8,600 times you've sat down with someone across the way or over Zoom or in person.
Yeah.
8,600 times you've had a conversation about how you connect and how you can serve and how you can ask.
Well, actually, they're complete strangers when I met them. That doesn't include my member one-to-ones, leader one-to-ones, none of that.
Yeah.
Right. So when you think about it, like right now, I'm probably in 8 to 10 appointments a day, meeting
Uh,
with people. Only 10 of them a week are now with non-members. That's all it can be.
yeah.
So you can see where I've transitioned, but the connect, serve, and ask. So the way I like to say it is, it took me 3,000 one-to-ones to for it to be bestowed upon me, right? Of what it was, what connect, serve, and ask is. And since then, I've used it over 5,600 times with complete strangers
Uh,
when I meet them.
yeah. And it is the kind of the backbone of H7. It is what kind of distinguishes us
It is.
from other networking groups.
Yeah.
Um, can you take a second? We'll talk more about what's going on now in a minute, but can you take a minute to tell us, explain to us Connect Serve Ask just for a minute or
Sure.
two?
Yeah. So what I've learned about um, it's one thing to know what connect, serve, and ask is. It's another to apply. It's two different
Mhm.
things. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So under thoroughly understanding what connect, serve, and ask is at its core is required before implementation. So here's what it is in the simplest form. It is a methodology that helps two people show respect to one another and start to learn to trust one another. That in if its most simplest form, that is what it does. So if you meet a stranger, you can connect, serve, and ask them, and in 15 minutes or more, you can be at least begin the relationship building process
Mhm.
via that. So connect. So to apply connect means that you want to know a little bit more about that person and their background, who they are as a human being.
Yeah.
Okay. With serve, uh, it's about helping the other person in seeking to earn their trust. You do things that help you to earn the other person's trust.
Uh-huh.
Action steps from the meeting, things you're going to do for them. You're going to
Okay.
help them.
Mhm.
Ask is to give the other person a chance to earn
Uh-huh.
your trust.
Yeah.
And when you don't ask for help, you take the power away from that other person being able to earn your trust.
Yeah. Well, it's very simplistic and very powerful. And
Very. Yeah.
I have done one-to-ones. When I first started in networking, I was like, okay, what's a one-to-one? And so you were supposed to have one-to-ones every week. So I had these one-to-ones. Well, I learned some things about them, but I can't say that any of those actually led to any business. Like they were actually just, well, I know that this is a little bit about them, but the training that you provide and then the just the structure of it, I think is really the heart of H7's business model. It is how we actually do business. And you're famous for saying we don't pitch slap. And
Yeah. Yeah.
could you tell a little bit quickly about what pitch slap is, because I know it's very common.
Yeah.
Uh, and what is that difference between a pitch slap and CSA?
Okay. Well, the difference is in a pitch slap, you're trying to sell the other person in that first one-to-one.
Uh-huh.
Trying to sell your products, your wares to that other person in that one-to-one.
Yeah.
And so you have to take a step back and understand the mindset around what that one-to-one is supposed to be about. It's
Mm,
supposed to be about building like, know, and trust in some fashion or another. But the average person doesn't realize that or know that or is taught that for that
yeah.
matter.
Mm,
Is taught that that's how they should do it.
mm,
From it happens all over the place where pitch slapping becomes a thing because of culture in that association, networking group, whatever it is.
yeah.
And so they learn that's how it's done, and then they just keep doing it because nobody ever said, "Hey, it's not how it's done." So then there are also a set of people that would just they're there to do it and they know they're doing it. It
Yeah.
is what it is.
Yeah.
And so pitch slapping is just simply, well, don't do it because the other person is being pitch slapped.
Mm,
So if you're wearing somebody down across from you in that one-to-one with what you do and will not stop, maybe you should start stopping
yeah.
and seeking to understand who in the heck you are meeting with long before you ever try to sell them anywhere, product, service. Focus on selling yourself,
Mm.
who you are.
Yeah, and a lot of our business ends up being not really even that. Maybe it's not that particular person.
Yeah.
It's their friends, it's their business partners, it's their coworkers, where they're going, hey, David, he does that. Let me connect you. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah, especially if you're in a networking group, you guys, maybe there's 20 of us or 10 of us or whatever, but after a few weeks, we all know what each other does. Like we do business with each other, but which is natural, I think, because you're a part of this group, and so you do business together. But most of our business comes through each other, not directly.
Well, think about it. When a member finds out, when a member finds out that the person across from them is number one a human, we should
Mhm.
treat them the way we treat them is very important. But when
Yeah.
they figure out that trust, how to earn trust, when you finally come to grips with how do you earn trust with somebody else, then you see them begin to apply that on the daily, right?
Mhm.
In the
Yeah.
meetings, in the one-to-ones. They recognize and know that if they're helping other people, they are earning their trust.
Hmm.
Whether or not they like them or know them well enough or not is something else, right? But
I
that's
think,
how the machine works. Like,
yeah,
oh, if I help David, I'm earning a little trust, a little trust. I didn't say watch your kids. I just said
yeah,
a
some
little
trust.
trust.
I'll remember that you have a good roofing business and you're a great, or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, different.
But yeah, you do develop friendships, trust, relationships.
Yeah.
It is the people in our Launchpad group, the H7 group, that here, and then just Al and I yesterday were talking about life and praying, and who's one of our leads one of our groups, and so we do become like a family in a lot of ways. We do become very close and care about each other, and it is part of it. So you start out with five. You know, the scale of H7 is pretty impressive. And so I would like to touch on that because, like you mentioned, there was five starting out, but that's not nearly where we're at now. Um, Coming into COVID, so what was H7 like just before COVID, and then during COVID, you made a massive transition, and I'd like to hear about that too. So, can you tell us what H7 was like just like 2018, 2019, going into the pandemic?
Yeah, we were running about 80 groups in person going in we were at the time we were in the metro areas of Cincinnati, Dayton, Columbus, Indianapolis, Charlotte, or actually it's called WGHP, which is Winston-Salem, High Point down in North Carolina, and then also Austin, Texas. So we were all in person.
Mm.
And so all of us were drivers and road warriors, and I was driving all over the place. I was driving about 800 miles a week
Yeah,
back
I
then.
imagine. Yeah.
I had to trade in my truck at one point because it was just far too expensive to drive that thing. But anyway, yeah, I mean, we were meeting every day, somewhere in the region, and what it was like was people were helping each other. It was, it was positive. It was, the culture of H7 at that point was positive. It was good. People were helping each other, all that stuff. Um, but then the pandemic hit. At that moment, when that hit in March, we kept everybody on Zoom calls every day. Like we
Mm.
provided a platform online for them to begin coming into meetings at 8:30 and 12 p.m. Monday through Friday. Right. We were just trying to keep stabilize everything.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And then in May, obviously there are a lot of stuff going on, rumors going, that things are going to open back up, all that stuff. And then it did. Well, when that was happening, many of our members online were either ready to go back in person as quickly as possible, scared to go back in
Mhm.
person,
Yeah.
or was B2B. So that's what was going on to describe the type of professionals that I was working with on a daily, just trying to keep this thing alive.
Yeah.
So then the people who want to go back in person, they were going to destroy the ability for our B2B folks to actually make waves, like to actually grow, because the majority of the community was going back in person.
Yeah.
And so I pulled up my old history of B2B Max in 2010, 11, and 12, pulled that off the shelf. I mean, off of a Google Drive document that I found. I keep all my stuff. And so pulled it down. I was like, we can do this. We can do something really big, really special. And we did. We started in June of 20 with one meeting a week on Zoom. It's our hub meeting now. That specific meeting has now created 48 weekly meetings all over Zoom
Mm-hmm.
and expanding to where now we have groups in 22 states and
Mm-hmm.
4 countries.
Mm. Four
Holy moly.
countries. Did you say 4 countries?
Oh, yeah. So we're in America, of course, and then Canada. And
Uh-huh.
then we're in Israel, and
Uh-huh.
we're opening up and we're working in Egypt right now.
Okay. Because I did talk with a lady who was in Italy. in
Yeah. Yeah. So,
that, yeah, in the master's coaching or the coaching area,
yeah.
the coaching Zoom. Lady was in Italy at the time on the Zoom. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, but you did something that was very kind of like state of the art, or I would just say very breakthrough, which was those breakout rooms. Um, the breakout rooms really, I think, were like pretty fundamental in how the Zooms spread so quickly.
Yeah, it was 3 days. So one of our members, Tyler Abrams, he called me and said, "Hey, there's breakout rooms." So like the third day when we were running meetings, we were able to begin to shift into using breakout rooms.
Yeah.
And everybody who was a part of everything going on back then has a story to tell, because there were so many things going on and decisions had to be made, and we had to smooth it out, or I'll go have to get a job.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we were at,
Yeah.
because we were decimated. And
Yeah,
but
so it
yeah,
really took off. H7 during the pandemic really took off in a lot of ways. I
it,
mean,
it did. It
it
did.
was like a massive amount of expansion during the pandemic, which to your credit was those Zoom calls and those breakout rooms, because I learned about H7 uh, 3 years ago. Well, I heard about it in the networking group I was in, because like every time we do something fun, they're like, "Oh yeah, I learned that H7." So I'm like, I gotta find this H7. And but yeah, so the in person meetings are awesome. I love them, and But like I say, everybody told me, oh yeah, man, Clay, he came up with these Zooms and the breakout rooms, and that's why we're growing. And so I heard a lot about it before I ever met you. I heard a lot about the spread expansion of H7 because of the Zoom calls. And so it's pretty amazing. So in 4 countries now, I did not know that, honestly. Yeah.
Well, so the newsletter comes out Wednesday,
Uh,
has country number 3, which is Israel. So we're
uh,
announcing that to the world, and absolutely. So currently where we are is we have members. So remember, I said we only had members in 5 states when we started the pandemic.
yeah, yeah.
So yes, we have groups in 22 states and 4 countries. Yes, but we
Mm.
have actual members in 22 countries now.
Oh yeah, okay, that makes more sense because I keep running
Yeah,
into them. Yeah.
yeah. We
Yeah.
have a couple of groups that, the one member in Dubai, he matters. Like
Yeah.
all of those folks matter, and we include them in everything. We
Yeah.
even are making putting strategies in place with this opening in Israel to be able to open up more into that time zone and that area,
Yeah.
which is why he's doing it in the first place.
That's awesome. So that's kind of like we're just kind of parlaying into what was the next question is where do you see this going? So where
Yeah,
do you see this going? Because I see it going pretty big.
yeah. So I see us, of course, in the next few years having groups upwards to 40 states.
Mhm.
Right? Upwards of 40 states. As part of my the strategy's been bestowed upon me for the next 3 years, we'll have thousands of members, of course, and having groups in so many states, being in person, having B2B in person to match the virtual that happens now. Those that's the direction we're going with 40 to 60 directors such as yourself that is helping us to operate this thing with hundreds of volunteers. We're at 300 alpha leaders, volunteer leaders now
Okay.
that I report to,
Mhm.
and we got to get up closer to 1,000. So, and we will get there. So, with the training and the evolution of the things that we're providing to them, to the community as a whole, is very rare. We're very much a unicorn in at least 22 countries today.
Mhm.
And so we we see the service only getting better and better and better. I mean, we have our masterminds that we run on a weekly basis for leaders and members separately.
Mhm.
And the amount, the the speed in which people are meeting and developing the trusted relationships has only gotten faster.
Yeah.
And so you'll have a new member in less than 60 days be already working deals.
Yeah.
I've
Oh, yeah.
already
I
seen it.
mean, I've seen that less than that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So and it's because of that training. The training's only going to get better. We
Yeah.
have more and more to add to it. So that's kind of where we're going.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen them come in first day and get business. Yeah. I mean, regularly,
Yeah.
So, we just had our national convention, not that long ago. It was like went a month ago. How long has it been?
Yeah, so it's been a month. We had approximately somewhere between 60 and 70 that actually came. We had some people that come and left, and I had 60 and other people had 70. So that's kind of where it went.
Yeah, it was. I was there. It was
Yeah,
here at the Tip Center, and
yeah,
man, I loved it. I thought it was incredible. I thought it was awesome. One of our members here locally, Carolyn Russ, she's still doing one-to-ones from everybody she met at the conference, and
yeah.
has done a lot of business through them. She every week when we have our meeting, she's like, "Oh yeah, so that conference,
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
so Carolyn loved the conference, and I thought it was great too because we really got to see the heart of you and your wife, and that's the one thing that we haven't touched on yet. But you're not a all on your own there. You've got someone else that's alongside of you that really helps to make a lot of things come together.
She sure does.
And could you tell me a little bit about Angel, your angel.
Yeah, Angel. She was definitely a gift. So she is, yes, she's intelligent and beautiful and all those things. Really, who she is someone who cares about how other people actually feel.
Mhm.
Okay. And when you look at that, just that small little bit of information, that's that's a gift. That's a gift. She's a gift. And so, yes, she is smart and all that stuff, but she literally is a gift. So, how she's a gift. I mean, without her, I would not be where I am today. There is no doubt that the Lord put her in my place to line us up to exactly where we are to the point in which we are today from the
Mhm.
moment in which I met her. And so she has grown so much as an entrepreneur, as a mother, as a wife. And honestly, I don't recognize the 11 years ago Angel anymore. She is she has blossomed into something that I should never ever take for granted personally.
Mhm.
So she's an author. She she's a publisher. She publishes my books. She
Mhm.
keeps me in line.
Yeah, that
Uh,
I'm glad too. Somebody needs to.
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, so I'm a very driven individual,
Yeah,
and so she puts up with that all the time,
yeah,
which is special in its own right. So
yeah. And she also leads in H7 another I guess another division of H7,
she
Evolve.
does.
Uh,
She does. She
can you
does.
talk about Evolve for a minute? Because I don't think we've mentioned it yet.
No, we haven't. So Evolve uh, Women's Collective is the new name. So Evolve, for short. Evolve has been around since, oh, no, since 15.
Okay.
She took hold of it in 15 or 16. It had originated as TBN Women, is what it was called back then, or H7 Women, excuse me. And
Uh,
so she takes it and she makes it awesome. She wanted to provide a place, a safe space for female entrepreneurs that are trying to do something with their own life, whatever that is. So if they want to grow to $100,000 revenue business, $1 million, whatever that is, whatever part of that journey that the female entrepreneur may be on, Evolve really uh, supports that journey. So the gist in Evolve is entrepreneurial development, and the
yeah.
focus is collaboration.
Hmm.
So
A different culture, isn't it? It's a very different culture with the ladies than it is
yeah,
the co-ed meetings.
it is. It is. They're a little bit more themselves, more vulnerable, whatever that is.
Mhm.
I That's how I understand it and interpret it. So they can be themselves. They can talk about their own stuff without fear of judgment.
Mhm.
So it's no judgment is allowed in Evolve.
Mhm.
That's a big and providing that safe space for that is a big deal.
Yeah,
So,
from the ladies I've heard they really love Evolve. A lot of the ladies really love it. It is a different kind of culture and environment, and which
yeah,
makes sense because Angel leads it up, so it comes from where she's at and who she is.
that's right.
So the last question I'd like to ask you is the name H7. So I'm just going to tell you what I was told. So I can't remember who I was asking in the beginning. I'm like, well, so what's H7 mean? And I was at a Christmas party. It was a H7 networking party. And I said, so what does H7 mean? Now, this is what I was told. Well, it said that Clayton Hicks is the Hicks is seven. So he has seven kids, and this is, he did H7. I was, okay. All right. So, I want you to dispel this rumor or validate it, whichever. Where does the name H7 come from? How do we get H7?
All right. So H7 was a necessity. We had to change the name of our community.
Mhm.
And so that began back in 14, starting getting cease and desist letters from Trinity Broadcast Network. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because the original name was the Business Network, but we called it TBN, just like
Oh,
Trinity, right?
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I didn't know that. That's new to me. I didn't know that. Yeah.
yeah, so we're getting cease and desist letters from them. Well, meanwhile, Angel and I got married, and I'm I was charged with growing H7. We'll just say it that way.
Yeah.
And so I started putting pen to paper, and I like to kind of name things to help me to kind of work things out. And
Mhm.
so I wanted to expand H7 nationally, but more like a white label at the time than the way it is now.
Mhm.
By the way, we are a white label too, which is very cool. Anyway, so so I called it when I began to write it out the official H7 application.
Okay.
And at that time, I did absolutely name it after Angel and myself with 5 children.
I
So
got you. Oh, so there's validity to that. Okay.
there
All
is.
right.
So no, it's not a conspiracy theory. Some people ask, some people know, but I'll tell the truth when I can.
All right.
So we
So
want to
there's seven that's you, your wife, and then 5 children. So that is,
okay, but there's more to that story.
yeah. Because I've heard others. So yeah.
Yeah, so then we need to change the name. My wife's like, let's use H7. I'm like, no, I don't want to name the community after myself.
Uh,
It's I want it to be a legacy to continue on after us.
yeah.
Okay. So she's like, so we're kind of tiffing about this. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want to name it after myself. She's like,
I can see who won, but okay.
yeah. So it basically came down. The bottom line was, I said, okay, we'll name it H7, but I get to come up with the logo and I get to come up with what it means.
Okay.
She said, great. So we became H7. It took
Good
me
company.
3 months,
Mhm.
to figure out what H7 meant and opposite of what it meant originally. So
Okay.
it became the hub for 7 pillars to networking success.
Okay. Yeah. I've heard that one too. So I was wondering if that would be, if you would say that.
That's the
So,
official name. Yeah.
oh, I don't know if I should put you on the spot or not, but what are the 7 pillars?
Oh, so you wouldn't be. I mean, how do I say this? You can't you can't do H7 without connect, serve, and ask and the values, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So of course, right out of the gate, connect, serve, ask. Next
Hmm.
is influence,
Uh-huh.
focus, champion, and win-win. And all of
Oh,
those are our 7 values in which we operate in this community. They're
yeah.
all based on those values. Everything that we do is based on those values.
Yeah, it's true, very true. And I've heard it said many times. So I was thinking as you were talking, how we help each other win, basically, And Zig Ziglar, he had a comment he used to say it was, help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want, right?
That's right. That's right.
And so I see that in H7 a lot. With a lot of us trying to find ways to help each other get what they want,
Yeah,
and we end up getting what we want out of that as well. So.
that's true. Yeah, that's true.
So Clay, it's been an awesome conversation. We'll have more, obviously, you and I privately, but we'll do another Zoom or two.
Yeah.
And but so it's my tradition to close in prayer.
Okay.
And so at this time, I'd like to close in prayer, and I would like to lead the prayer this time. Pray for you, pray for H7, and all that's happening. And so I'll go ahead. Father God, we just thank you so much for this day. I thank you for your love and grace and your mercy. I thank you for Clay and his wife Angel. They have an incredible business model, but they are also strong believers, and that comes through in everything they do. And it was very evident in the conference that we had, as your spirit was felt so powerfully, and how we prayed and sought your will. And I thank you for how you're using Clay and his wife in life and ministry and in H7, in this vision, this calling that you've given him. You say in your word that where there is no vision, the people perish. And I thank you, Father, that you have given this vision to Clay and to his wife and to all the people that are impacted by it every day. We thank you, Father, for how we are able to do business and live out our faith. And God, you say that you give us the wisdom to make wealth. And a lot of that is evident in the trainings and things that we receive through H7. So I thank you for that as well. And I just pray, Father, for continued blessings and growth. I thank you for every member of H7. And Father, I just pray that you would continue, and I thank you that you're continuing expanding H7, not only here in the U.S., but also now globally. And continue to be with this lovely couple, blessing them, giving them strength, giving them wisdom as they continue to grow and seek your will in all things. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Great pleasure. And so, hey, we'll do this again, but thank you. And for everybody that's here, I forgot to mention this at the end. So if you stayed to the end, every viewer that's viewing this, you'll be in a raffle by the end of the month. You're going to get a vacation. Obviously, Clay is going to get his vacation. Every guest speaker gets a vacation. So Clay gives out vacations too. He's got a really cool Airbnb down in Lake Cumberland, which I will be checking out very soon. And maybe him and Angel will take off on one of these 4-day cruises or eight night, 7-day trip, maybe to Italy. So, all right. Well, have a great day. Thank you for viewing. And Clay, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks, man. Thank you.
All right. Have a good day.